Hello, welcome to Classibridge. I'm Renee Gigante, and I'm here today with AJ and Adam. We are going to be talking about entrepreneurs in the Philadelphia area. So first, I'd like to hear a little bit about you, your company, your products, what you do.
Okay, let me get started then. Thank you. I'm AJ Sharma. I'm the CEO and founder of Classibridge. We're a tech startup headquartered in Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania, in the western suburbs of Philadelphia, and we're making the next generation of online commenting. We're actually taking a problem that's existed for a lot of us for a long period of time, which is just static innovation with online comments. The fact that 20 years ago, what you could do was you could take a look at a stream of comments and you can order it by oldest, newest, and most liked. And essentially what you could do 20 years ago is exactly what you can do today. There's been minimal innovation. Yeah, we decided we were going to tackle that. We came up with an innovative process to address that. And yeah, here we are now. Adam?
Well, I'm Adam Salamon. I'm the CEO of Pression Inc. We are an athletic recovery technology company. We've developed a system that increases blood flow for athletes after heavy exertion that helps them recover faster. So that means their muscles aren't going to be as sore. They're going to be able to get back to peak performance sooner. The way our system works is it's an externally worn compression device that's synchronized with your heartbeat. So we don't work against your body, we work with your body.
If I can ask a question, externally worn compression device, what do you mean by that?
So it's a sleeve that you wear on both your calves that's connected to a pneumatic control system that in between heartbeats, there's a series of 5 bands on each of your legs that actuate in between beats. So it's as fast as your eye can blink. These 5 bands actuate to sort of push blood from your ankles back up to your heart.
That's huge. I know that you're a runner.
That's really amazing.
Right?
I am a runner. So do runners use these?
Runners use things like these.
Okay.
They don't use anything that's exactly like ours because we're special. Some of the big names that are out there, most runners are familiar with compression garments, right? The tight-fitting socks, shirts, leggings. Those are designed to prevent blood pooling. They keep your blood from congregating where your muscles are most active. But they don't adapt to you. They don't adjust to you. They don't know anything about you. The next step up from there are active compression systems. The biggest name is this company called Normatec. Normatec makes a full leg sleeve that inflates very slowly. There's 6 or 7 compression segments in it that sort of force blood back into your muscles. It squeezes you really hard and then it lets go. And then the idea is that metabolites kind of get flushed out as it lets go. But it doesn't know anything about you. It doesn't know what your heart rate is. It doesn't know what you just did or any of these sorts of things. And it actually decreases overall blood flow while you're using it. Our system works with you. And so only when it's beneficial and it's going to increase the blood flow is when you actually get a compression cycle. And so instead of, like with Normatec, a 60-minute treatment session with theirs, ours is 15 minutes. So it's a lot faster. It's also a lot more beneficial.
Okay, excellent. So what made you decide it was the time to start a company?
So for me, I'm probably a big user for our product. I use online comments a lot, and I hate to say it, but I'm one of the lurkers out there. So it's about 90% of people are lurkers for online comments, 9% engagement. Once in a while, then there's a 1% of really heavy users. And unfortunately, the incentive to be one of those 1% is pretty slim because usually the people that engage are the extremists on different sides of the viewpoint, and they kind of monopolize the conversation. So for somebody like me that's more of a moderate to be involved, it's kind of a turnoff because I'd either get shot down or buried really quickly unless I was a regular poster. Even if I had a really quality piece of content that I put out there, it'd be tougher to find. So I think the fact that most comment boards have that 1% that really is heavily engaged creates some kind of back and forth feedback loop where that 1% is actually not 1%, it's 0.5%, 0.5%. It's the two ends of the range that keep going back and forth and monopolizing the conversation. So there's a feedback loop there. And in addition, I feel as if there's a feedback loop in regards to the voting system that's in place for online commenting. So if you think about it, online comments have the only way that the audience members can engage with the online comments is to like a comment. And when they like a comment, a lot of people, the majority of people actually sort comments by most liked on top. And when they do that, when a comment first comes out, the first couple articles when that article comes out, the first couple comments that are pretty good are liked right away, and they rise to the top. And then when somebody else comes along, looks at the same article, looks at the same comment thread, they're going to sort it by most liked. They're going to see that somewhat good comment on top, the oldest liked one, and like it as well. And then if there's a newer comment that's even better, more valuable, their only option is to like that one as well. So no matter what, that newer, awesome comment will never rise to the top. So I saw that was a problem, and I thought that as a result of it, it's essentially the people that comment an article first, when it's first launched, when the article is first released, are the ones that are seen the most. So that's an incentive for you to actually sit there and watch when the publisher actually releases articles to comment as quickly as possible. And who has time for that? Extremists, right? The people that 0.5 and 0.5%. So it kind of degrades the entire experience for all the users that go to the comment threads. And then besides that, it's bad for the actual publishers of the sites. So the publishers spend a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort to make great content. They hire great writers, write great articles. But essentially, the last taste anybody has of a comment thread, the last taste in their mouth is from the comments. So they might read an article, but then they're going to finish with the comments. That's like their dessert. So if you go to a restaurant, you have a great dinner and a terrible dessert, guess what you're going to be talking about to your friends the next day. And so I thought there's a lot of problems with the current state of online comments, and I thought that that's something we could tackle.
Excellent. And Adam, how about you? Why was this the time for you to actually jump into this venture?
Well, it was a little bit of being forced into it and a little bit of being ready to do it.
Okay.
Were you pressed?
What's that?
Were you pressed?
A little bit. So the technology behind Pression is something I originally developed for Lockheed Martin. And we spent 5 years working on it with my now co-founders. And about 2.5 years ago, the CEO of Lockheed Martin decided that the company was going to focus on platform systems. You know, these are jets and ships and expensive systems.
Okay.
The way I like to explain it to people is Lockheed Martin would love to sell one thing one time a year for $50 billion, and that's it. They're not going to get into the AA battery market. They don't want to. And so as a result of that, they were getting out of the space that this research was for. It was intended originally for enhancing the endurance of soldiers in the field and help them be able to go from point A to point B with 80 pounds on their back and get there ready to fight. But with Lockheed exiting the dismounted warfighter space, they no longer had interest in continuing it. And generally speaking, at least in my experience at Lockheed, they'll just shelve technology rather than spin it out or sell it to somebody or do something with it. They'd rather see it sit. And I said to them, look, I think there's a lot of value here, not only for the dismounted warfighter, which we originally intended it for, but also for athletes, which is what Pression is focusing on, but medical applications too. There are medical conditions like diabetes, peripheral arterial disease, prevention of deep vein thrombosis that all can benefit from this technology. That the technology that's being used to prevent blood clots today, if you're stuck in a hospital bed, these inflatable cuffs were originally patented in the early 1900s and they haven't changed. And there are people who can get real benefit from this. And so I looked at that and I spoke to my now co-founders and I said, look, I think we should go for this. Let's do it. And 2-year process of negotiating for the intellectual property rights, we took it. And I think if you're going to be successful in a business, it can't be a pastime. It can't be something that you're just doing in your spare time and in your free time. EJ and I both have kids, so there's not a whole lot of spare time or free time.
Right. And Renee does as well.
Oh, so and so I decided to jump in with both feet, and
Awesome.
I quit my job with Lockheed, and here I am full time with Pression.
That's awesome. And it sounds like not only would it help athletes, but also the healthcare community as well, which is amazing. So I'm a Philly girl. I love Philadelphia. And you're both based in the greater Philadelphia area. How do you feel this area is for a new entrepreneur?
I'll let you take that one first because you have more experience in this.
Sure. So Philadelphia is a really interesting ecosystem. My family and I moved up here 4 years ago from the DC suburbs, and that's a very vibrant community in terms of politics and
I can imagine.
And there's a lot of money that's moving around there, but there's also a lot of silos. It's if you want to do anything in defense, you have to be one of the big defense players, or you have to be working with them. If you want to do anything in social media, you better be connected with someone big. Philadelphia is not like that. Philadelphia is a very open community of people and the entrepreneurs want to support each other. It was amazing to me. I've met people who I can't provide them anything concrete for their business, but they would come back to me and they say, look, I think it would be really good for you to meet this person. I'm going to introduce you to that person, and I'm going to vouch for you that you're someone who should be spoken to. This person who's making the introduction is getting nothing from me out of it other than helping the community, right? And that I think sums up the Philadelphia entrepreneurship community in general, is that it's a lot of individuals and a lot of companies that want to help each other.
Well, it's funny because I feel like you and I have come in from opposite directions, which means that I moved here from the north and you moved here from the south. I used to live in New York City with my wife, and we came down to Philadelphia 13 years ago. And pretty much New York City is a great place to live, a great place to work. But as far as live and work long term, raise a family there, buy a house and everything else, it just was a bit too crazy having an hour and a half commute or 2 hour commute one way to get to work. Or if you're trying to live in a city, that's very expensive. So New York has some great perks as far as working there and starting a business there, founding a business there. But I don't think those perks outweigh the cons of starting a business in New York City. Sure, you have easier access to capital as well as easier access to talent. But really, Philadelphia is an hour and a half drive from New York City, and maybe 2 hours with light traffic. And I think Philadelphia really has a lot of those same things: access to capital, access to talent. Besides that, the quality of living, I think, is way better in Philadelphia. And I've had a similar experience, though, as far as engaging with the startup community. Everybody's been very welcoming, both other startup founders, the other entrepreneurs, investors, mentors, advisors. Philadelphia is one of the highest density of colleges and universities of any location I've been nearby. It's crazy what the talent pool is like in the Philadelphia area. And in addition to the proximity to these higher educations of learning that are trying to incentivize entrepreneurs, there's also a sense of family in Philadelphia that you don't really get with a place like New York City, where I used to live on the West Coast too, down in San Diego. And, it felt like in both those locations, New York City and San Diego, people were there temporarily. And when you're talking to somebody, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, this person going to be around here 5 years from now. Philadelphia's not like that. I think people that are in Philly either were born and raised here or have moved here with plans of being here long term.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because, like I said, I love Philly, so I'm glad to hear you're both happy here and finding a great space for your business. Who are your target customers, and how do you get them engaged or aware of your product?
Well, for us, our target customers are online, any site that has articles with comments. And we're looking for websites that have an engaged community that actually has maybe 20 more comments per article. And even the sites that are smaller that don't have that number of comments, we think with our system, our process, it'll actually unlock a more engaged community that will actually post more comments. But we're looking for any type of site that has articles, so newspapers, sports sites, entertainment sites, blogs, you name it. The process we came up with is applicable across the board. And actually, it's pretty interesting because of the fact that our technology gets more powerful with the more users that utilize it and more comments are left. So at this point, we're targeting those larger sites, but we definitely don't want to keep out the smaller players as far as the smaller blogs and everything else from utilizing our technology. And we're looking at ways to actually bring them into the fold as far as reaping the benefits of having an engaged community, even if their site doesn't have the same reach as some of the larger sites. And how we're targeting them is we're having a social media marketing campaign. So if you haven't checked out our website, classibridge.com, or our various social media platforms, take a look at our handle, Classibridge. And we have a lot of cool content on there that's, both to generate buzz from the user community, but also to provide value to the actual journalists, editors, editor-in-chiefs, and publishers of these newsrooms to show that, a lot of them are tasked with the impossible. They're tasked with increasing their community engagement while at the same time reducing costs and taking people away from for moderation. And it's not going to happen with a people solution or a process solution. I think you need technology to kind of step in and help out, and that's where we come into place.
Awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, so for Pression, our users are endurance athletes,
Okay.
and that's who we're targeting as users. Now, we're initially looking at professional sports teams and collegiate sports teams to start, and so the people buying our equipment are not the same people as the people using our equipment.
Okay.
And so for us, so we're targeting coaches, physical trainers, sports medicine staff at those institutions that see the benefit that can be gained by their players, by their teams for using our product. And so for right now, our big focus is on pilot testing, and we're looking for partners who are interested in helping not only push the technological boundaries for sports science, but also helping push their athletes to perform better. And so PressionInc.com, if anyone's interested in being a pilot, please let us know.
Okay, sounds awesome.
Well, if you're going to toss that plug-in, I'm going to toss one in myself. So not only are we looking for, we have the social media marketing campaign and everything else, but the product's pretty far along in its life cycle. We just are wrapping up alpha testing, and by the time this video airs, we should have beta testing underway. And we're having different tiers of beta testing, but if anybody's interested that's watching that wants to become a beta tester, feel free to go to Classibridge.com, and we'd love to have you guys on board.
Awesome. So with any new company, obviously funding is a huge issue. So what are some approaches that you have to finding funding, to approaching investors, or different things along those lines to help make these projects get along and get where you want your company to be?
Sure. So with funding, it's a difficult line, difficult line to walk on, because of the fact that if you seek funding too early, essentially your company hasn't gained the product market fit or the traction it needs to actually increase its valuation to a level that you're comfortable with. And traditionally, when you're raising funding, it's either for equity or debt. So are you willing to take on loans, or are you willing to give up equity? And if you're going the equity route, which is what larger potential growth companies could do, you actually have to kind of time it just right, because if you look for funding too soon, you might give up a good chunk of equity. If you seek funding too late, though, then you're putting your company's longevity at risk. So for us, we wanted to focus on, we had some cushion, essentially. So we wanted to focus on building a product, doing the testing, getting that underway, and actually having conversations with customers and validating the need for our product, and kind of honing everything before we did an aggressive push for funding. But that's definitely something that is in the cards for our near-term future.
Yeah, I agree that it's a very fine line to walk, especially early on. And, I came from this big corporate entity, and one of the things that's so attractive about being in a startup and being an entrepreneur is you have control over your own destiny. And bringing in investors is bringing in someone who gets a say in what you're doing. And some of the most successful companies out there got that way because of the vision of the founders. And if you have someone who's trying to focus you too heavily, too early on a return on their investment, you might lose sight of that. And so that's, I think, a risk of bringing money in too early, is that they get an outsized vote if they get too much of your company. And so for us, we're in the same spot where it's, we have a little bit of runway where we don't need to raise any money, and we can get to a point where we have also some market validation and some product market fit that we can show, yes, this is a good idea, yes, this is a good technology. People will pay for it. People have already paid for it. People are willing to put their money down to become a part of what we're developing. And then when you go and you talk to an investor, it's not this might turn into something, this might not. You've taken a lot of the risk out, and now you have a bigger say in your own destiny when they come in.
That's awesome. What do you see in store for yourself, Adam, in 2019? What are we going to see from your product, from your company?
Well, we're going to do our first pilot testing in the first quarter of the year.
Okay.
And we're going to focus on just a couple of universities locally in the Philadelphia region for that first one, just to validate our assumptions, get some feedback of people using it, how it feels, see if there's anything we need to change. And then we're going to open it up to a nationwide pilot in the late spring, early summer. And then from there, it's into production.
Awesome.
Hopefully have first production units at the end of 2019.
Great. And AJ, what's in store for you for 2019?
Yeah, so kind of the same path where we're looking to do beta testing in the first quarter of 2019, and also engage with customers to find out about their needs and making sure that our product meets their standards and the technology is ironed out as far as integrating their existing commenting solutions, comment database into Classifilter, which is our widget's name. And so we're going to do that throughout Q1, and then starting Q2, we're going to essentially go live. It's a lot easier for us. There's no production or manufacturing. So we're going to go live and scale quickly, and we're going to initially target the Northeast, the Philadelphia market and the surrounding communities, and then go regional after that. But by the end of 2019, we're hoping to go national and maybe even start penetrating the international market.
Well, it has been great hearing from you. You guys seem so passionate about your work, which is amazing. It's awesome. I think our audience would love to hear how they can get in touch with you if they are interested in learning more about your product. So if each of you could let them know just where to find you one more time. I know we heard it earlier, but so they know where to find more about your product.
So you can find us at classibridge.com, or you can find us on any of the major social media marketing platforms like YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, or Instagram. And look for us there, and would be happy to engage with you and also bring you on as a beta tester.
And for us, PressionInc.com is our website. You can find some great information about the science behind Pression. You can see a little bit about how we've done our testing in the past and what some of the results are. And there's a form on there if you want to get in touch with us, if you're interested in connecting. You can also find me on LinkedIn and my very inactive Twitter feed.
Well, thank you very much, guys. It was excellent to get to know you, and I think we're going to see a lot from both of you in the future.
Thank you very much, Renee. Appreciate
Thanks.
it.